I have declared war against my brain in order to save my mind. The battle wounds don't seem to bother me so long as I know they will heal with time. And the scars remind me to appreciate the days I don't have to.
So the clock's on. So I
started.
First of all, it's 116 in the valley today. So we have an air conditioner, and we're both probably going to be sweating our asses off. We're in one room with an air conditioner. A lot of electricity's gone out in the San Fernando Valley. It's so hot. Topanga Canyon,
Really?
So
25-degree difference from Hollywood, where I was just at.
San Fernando Valley.
This is super.
Been horrible.
This is super, though.
And this is very hot. So anyway, Jamie, I really don't know you. We've never really spoken. I know about you. I know about you.
Yeah.
I know about you. I've seen your.
I know you.
Yeah,
but that's okay. I should know you, and I don't expect you to know me.
Well, I mean, I don't know you personally. We've never hung out. We've never talked. We've never hung out. That's what I meant by that. I obviously know who you are, and just by. But I found out when I'm doing. Well, first of all, I kind of got started doing this because of Doug Stanhope.
Yeah,
and Doug. When
Incredible.
I told him that Doug is, I moved down to Bisbee for a while and met Doug while I was down there, and Doug and I have become like boyfriend and girlfriend, and so we talk all the time. And what he is, of course, he definitely is without a doubt, and he'll tell you that he doesn't.
He's claiming
he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind. Yeah, he's on the inside of the cuddle or whatever. But I told him that he was the first guest because he lost a bunch of money to me last year playing football, and I said, well, forget about the money, come over here and you can do the podcast. And he said, okay. And so I told him that you were coming on, and he said, watch Heckler. That's the very first thing that he said to me was watch Heckler. He goes, I love Jamie, and watch Heckler. And so
that's awesome. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, I did. So what I didn't know about you was that not only are you an actor, or maybe I should say a Shakespearean actor, but that you tons and tons and tons of television and movie credits, which I kind of knew, but I didn't know that you produced so much of your own content. I didn't know, you're like a reality star. And the podcast thing that you got going on, you do stand-up comedy. My ADHD was just kind of shooting off in all directions, just trying to figure out what the fuck you did.
True Gemini. I wish I could just do one thing, but my brain doesn't allow me to, and also our business doesn't allow it anymore. I think everyone has to have 9 jobs now.
Well,
how true.
It's true. I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here with you, a staple of intensity and raising me as a legend that you are, that you're interviewing me is upside down.
It's not.
It is because it's like I'm with an amazing, actor.
That's sweet. That's nice.
No, it's just the truth of the caliber of the greats. And here you're interviewing me, so that just shows you how crazy our business is. And I'm honored.
I guess so. Another thing that you have in common, which I didn't know until today.
Yeah.
One of the things is that were you actually a telemarketer? Because that's also another Doug Stanhope. Doug Stanhope is very proud of the fact that he was a good telemarketer. So
we were grinders. I could tell you a whole story about that.
Do it, please.
So, I'll try not to go too back, but it was what your partner was saying earlier, and it was the same type of thing, just a different era, late 80s, early 90s, and I was basically trying to break in, and I was doing open mic stand-up and trying to get an agent as an actor. And,
how old were you?
Well, I moved out here when I was just turned 19. So
Okay, me too.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's and I live down the street. I'm still looking at that Pizza Hut I used to work at, and the first stand-up spot I ever did was Beverly Garland, and I used to deliver pizzas to D.L. Hughley, who lived down here. Like this whole neighborhood is my spot, right?
Wow.
And so I used to live off of Hartsook, and there used to be an Okie Dog. And I saw Christy Canyon there. Anyone who knows that's a deep cut to the original, like, artful porn star. So this is a lot. There was no Ralph's. Like, this is late 80s, okay?
Yeah.
And so, one of the first movies I saw when I got cable was The Abyss. Like, so it's like there's so much happening right now in this moment. So I go, and I'm just in the grind, I'm trying to get an agent, and it's 1993. And my buddy is like, listen, I got a job for you, and you could you can telemarket. And I go, what do I have to do? He's like, just come with me. I'll pick you up at 5:30, and it's on La Brea next to 7th Vale. Okay, it's either Girls, Go 7th Vale, right there. And it's across from the Shell station, and it's this at the bottom of a building. And he's like, you're going to cold call people. You're going to get the name of their copier machines.
Yeah.
And from there, this is something that audiences don't understand. And you're going to get the thing for the toner, which is for anyone who's listening who's younger than us. We have copy machines we used to use, and then we used to put ink in it, which was called toner. And the hustle was that you would call, get the number off the machine. I'd give the number to a experienced salesman. From then, he would then upsell his toner and why it was better. And that was it. So I was a grinder. And in that place was strippers.
You weren't the closer.
No. I was literally the bottom of the barrel. Rockabilly, wannabe rock stars, play the whiskey.
Yeah.
Strippers. On the outs, porn stars, wannabe comedians. All of us dregs.
Right.
And it was an amazing experience
with
human nature.
How long did you do that?
I did that for at least a year, and we had a phone and a desk. This is what everyone should do. I think everyone should do two things in life. You should have to go through basic training, and you should have a job with a phone and a desk. And I had an old school tattooed guy, and he goes, hey, fuck sticks. There's your office. If I don't have 50 numbers by 9 o'clock, you're fucking fired. And it was beautiful. The guy was an animal.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. And I got so good at selling shit that I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and then basically told me about selling, and then The World's Greatest Salesman. Matthew McConaughey, I think, read that book, and I remember reading that book as well. And it's basically just about how you just treat yourself as a product. So that's how I looked at the business part of it, of not just dreams of like, may I have some bread, sir? Like going on an audition and hoping for the best. I'd learned the other angle of it.
I had a roommate one time who was actually Lorne Green's son-in-law, who was the closer.
Wow.
He would call up these companies and pretend like he was their regular supplier of toner, and say, "Hey, your XSH machine is about due. We got a really good deal if you buy like 3 packages of the stuff. We give it to you at a really good rate, etc., and you'll be taken care of for months ahead." So he had that part of the job. I know exactly what.
That's called.
And we lived in Laurel Canyon, just right up near the country store. So it was right in that neighborhood.
I'm not your supplier, but you think I am. That's the other hustle.
Yes.
There was a lot of different hustles they had.
What did you also work at the Red Lobster? Is that,
yes, I worked at the Red. I'm so honored that you did all this research. So I used to work at Red Lobster in Philly, which we can't even say anymore. It's gone. And then
let me just ask you a question, because I used to work in the restaurant business. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go for it.
I'm new at this, and so the thing about me interrupting, you should know, is that when I get a thought and I think, oh, I want to ask him that, if I wait until you finish 3 or 4,
I can relate. Same brain. Okay. Same brain.
Okay. Same brain. Did you? I used to work in the restaurant business. Did you ever spit in anybody's food or?
No.
No.
Would you do that? By the way, you can't even admit that on the air now if you did that. I did have a buddy, though, that was a very grinder, and he did some shit to some guy's drink who it was kind of crazy because the guy was so rude to him.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of rude people when I was.
You were probably a waiter, though.
Well, I was below a waiter. What do you call it when you clean up the dishes?
Busboy.
Busboy, yeah, I was a bus. I've always had these positions where, like, you try to make your way up, and I never made it to a waiter. Which
is good.
Yeah. Anyway, how long were you in Hollywood before you started making money? Or in the business? How long?
I tell people I've never had a regular job since 1993. So I got in SAG in 1990, kind of Taft-Hartley, but I didn't work. And I had done some background work.
How'd you get into SAG?
Background work.
Oh, doing background, right.
And then I did enough of that where you could get a voucher.
Okay.
And then... But from there, I did a bunch of like non-union because I did a couple non-union commercials and stuff.
As soon as you got the Screen Actors Guild, you went straight for the non-union stuff.
Exactly right. I don't know if I should say that. Is there proof?
They probably won't go back and check on it, Jamie. I think you'll be okay.
I think the statute of limitations ran.
Let's hope so. And delete that. So I basically was, but I couldn't make a living. And I started making a living in 1990. I think 94. And it was basically that. And was when I was about 23, 24 years. And I haven't had a job since. So it took me about 5 years, but the 5 years felt like 10. And because every day was literally like meal to meal. Yeah. And the living situation changed all the time. And, it was like little baby goals of like, once I got like my own little room, and I saved up for an answering machine, and then I got a phone. Like, this is how broke I was. And then I got a beeper, and then I had a bad agent, but they would call me with the call back on the beeper. Then I have to go to the payphone. So it was all of that. But it was like literally bit by bit.
I remember it being a big deal when I was able to buy a second pair of jeans. That was just like,
beautiful.
Yeah. I'm in the money now. I can afford 2 pair of jeans, so I don't have to stand there in my swimming shorts when I'm washing my clothes at the
and low overhead. That's what I always tell people.
Well, yeah, me too.
That's why you're successful is because I tell people there's no life to be had. It's the goal is the goal, and there's no overhead.
Yeah.
There's no girlfriends.
There wasn't back then, but it became...
because you became successful.
I suppose so. All right, let me start talking to you about your movies that you made, and I want to ask you... So, I want to ask you about Romeo and Juliet, okay? Sure. Are you a Shakespearean actor? By nature,
no.
Did you know anything? Had you ever read Shakespeare? Did you know?
Yes. Long story short is I took a course. There's a course where you can go and you have to audition, but you get it, and it's kind of by RADA. If you know, RADA is Royal Academy.
The Royal Academy.
And so they do a summer course where it's like a pay for play.
Is that here or in England? In England.
In England.
You were there.
Yes, and I auditioned and I got in, but you have to pay.
You got into RADA?
Not RADA. It's like a satellite. It's like getting into Harvard online. Does that make sense?
The JVT.
Well, the
JVT.
You got into the
summer course, but you still have to audition and you have to pay. But you get, there's classes taught by Prunella Scales. The woman who's the legend there.
I think Eric Roberts did the same thing that you did.
I'm sure. Yeah. Judi Dench, Alan Rickman. So you're in front of these incredible people. You just have to audition if you get in, then you have to have the money to go. And so I got to do that for a month. And I said, I'm going to need this as a skill. Not that I ever thought I would, but I'm like, just to have it because no one's doing this when they're auditioning for a sitcom. And so I went in, and it was in the summer of 93. Romeo and Juliet we were shooting in 96, but I saw that audition through my agent and through the breakdowns, and I said, I did this. And so I wasn't a typical actor, but the good thing is that he didn't want Shakespearean actors. He wanted normal American gritty actors saying these lines, and that's the brilliance of the movie, amongst many things, is that the inclinations of what we're saying is through the feeling, even if you don't understand certain things. And was one of the greatest things about that movie.
Well, I could never understand Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I'd read it, and I'm like, I like the Bible. I'm just not smart enough. I could never understand. And then that son out there that you met was in an acting class, and he brought home some Shakespeare, and the Shakespeare was written with his dialogue and then an American version of what he's saying right next to it. And then I started going like, oh, I get it. Oh, this guy is good.
Well,
wow. Oh, that's what he's saying. Oh, no wonder why people talk about, because I couldn't understand it.
I think I'm probably, I'm not like you, but I'm like you in the sense that I'm much more of a guttural, emotional actor. I'm not I go off of, that's how we do it, right? We react off each other. And Shakespeare's more heady. So that was the cool thing that Baz did. He wanted those guttural performances, but with these high words.
Did you go in and, do you remember the audition process on
big
that?
time.
Tell me.
Went in, got the audition, just got signed with my agent. I saw it. I used to get the breakdowns illegally, which was like gold.
Yeah.
And then I would circle anything that I was right for.
Yeah.
And I'd bug my agent, and she's like, oh, yeah, they cover their ass. Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll do anything to go in. I'm like, push my training. And so finally I got an audition. David Rubin and Rona Kress, God bless you. They gave me one of my first breaks, and I went in right off of Sunset. I pass it all the time. It's across from Pinchy Tacos, and they looked at me, and I was like,
This is casting.
Okay. I think it was first for their assistant, and then got through that level, and then it was for them, and then they said, really good job. They were really nice, and I felt like they weren't just saying that. I felt something. So I bugged my agent. And then I started getting work. Like I got a commercial. I got a guest spot.
You're jumping ahead on me.
No, I'm going to tell you what happened.
Okay, go ahead.
So then that was probably August of that year.
Okay.
And 95, I got a call back within a week. Then I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
And then I was like, it's dead. And my agent's like, no, it's not dead. And then I got I got a small commercial. I got a guest spot.
Right.
And I'm like, my agent's like, it's not dead. They have so many bigger parts because I'm like, 9th or 10th on the call sheet. And
when you went in, did you audition for the role that you ended up playing?
Yes.
You did.
And
okay.
And then long story, sometime after Thanksgiving, I remember it was like 4 months. This was like my first foray into movies in the studio system.
Wow.
Which is, unheard of. They kept saying there was, it's not dead. And I was like, do you believe that? They say Baz is in town and he's holding final callbacks at the Chateau.
Well, of course.
And which is, I have gotten more amazing work sessions there, and it was great. It's a work session. It wasn't like, and he was like, there with his people, and they're going to film me and all of this stuff. And I went in again, and he's like, I'll just never forget. It never felt like an audition. It felt like so welcoming. It felt like play. It felt like he wanted me to get it. And he would tell me certain things and do it like this and say it again. And he would say it again and scream it. Okay, now take your time. And it was never like, I never had to be off book. And then he's like, yeah, I think you can do this.
I think you can do it.
And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, I think I'll see you in Mexico. And I was like, wow, that'd be amazing. But he was so sweet, so loving. And then my agent called me probably, I don't know, almost 30 years, but like 2 weeks later, and he's like, you're going to Mexico. But it was like, so it wasn't a lie. Like everything was like real. Like I can't stress that enough of like the interest was there. It went a long amount of time, and he always kept me in the mix. And I have to repay him so much.
You shot that in Mexico?
We shot that.
The whole production was shot in Mexico? We shot it
in half of it in Mexico City, the other part of it in Veracruz, and it was an amazing, wild time. A lot of wild stuff happened. And it was right before Leo became, the supernova. Well, just before we were there, a couple of our hair and makeup people got jumped,
Well, you're in Mexico, so you can probably just.
And then we got into a fight at a club.
Are you a fighter?
No, but I took a shot. That's why I have the black eye.
Oh.
And so, but Baz is like, I was scared I was going to lose the movie.
Because of the black eye?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he looks at it, he goes, I like it. It adds grit. I like it. Mauricio. And so, for the rest of the movie, I waited till my eye came off, and then they made it black for the whole movie. So he loved it. I mean, you can't ask. That was God. That was divine intervention. Baz is an artist through and through. He is an artist maker. He's one of the people in our town that can look at the rawest piece of clay, which I was, and a lot of us were, and sculpt it and see the beautiful sculpture that he's going to make. And that's what our business is missing more than ever. And I have so much I owe him everything.
When you play Shakespeare, when you play that character, he's kind of I would describe him from what I could see as a little bit of back when I was a kid, we used to call him like a fraidy cat.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that in Shakespeare? Is that character always played that way, or do people take completely different takes on a character like that and play them? Because I'm just asking, because I don't know.
Here's what it is.
And was that him asking you, hey, do this? Was that him directing you? Was that you?
Oh, he's an incredible director.
Okay.
So I think that whole gas station scene is like...
I heard it took like 2 weeks to shoot.
It was like 2 weeks. It was a staple. It's one of the set pieces of the movie, but also it's become a staple in cinema, I believe, in my opinion, because of just so many different things going on. But it's so colorful, the energy, the dynamic, the music, all the metaphor with the gun. This is my sword, but it's a gun, all this stuff. There was so much going on in that scene, and we had so many different cameras, and it was so many of steady cams, and intensity and stunts and guns and a ton of cast. So at times, he was like, you need to get your intensity up. You need to get your energy up. Basically this group, this gang is coming for your gang, but you're not going to back down, but you're not going to say, hey, listen, I bite my thumb at you, sir. He's like, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, meaning it's like, I'm not dissing you, but I do.
Thank you for explaining that to me. See, that's the kind of stuff. I don't bite my thumb.
So John Leguizamo is like, John Leguizamo is like this badass dude. He's
he looked badass,
Mercutio.
man.
No, he's not Mercutio.
Yeah.
Is he Mercutio? Or Benvol? No, he's Tybalt. He's Tybalt.
Okay.
I apologize. And he's a badass dude, and it's got that Western vibe.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you bite your thumb at me? Like, yo, are you fucking with me? So think if you're in New York and you're with a gang. And I'm like, yo, what do I say, dude? Like, is the law, will I be backed up here if I say I, meaning yeah? And he's like, no, but you can't be a bitch, my guy.
Right.
So he's like, I'm like, look, like.
So what does he say? When he says you can't be a bitch, what is his actual line? Do you remember?
His line is like, it's like, do I bite my thumb at you? He's like, you bite your thumb at me, sir? And it's like, as a law of our side, if I say I, and he says no, meaning no, it's not. So if you fight, we're going to fight. I don't remember his line before.
Right. Yeah,
and I go, no, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, meaning I'm not fucking with you, but I do bite my thumb.
Right. Okay.
Sir.
Right.
And he's like, and the other guy's like, you quarrel, sir, Vincent? And I'm like, he said, he's like, do you quarrel, sir? And I go, say better. I go, no, sir, I do not quarrel, sir. No, I say, I serve just as good as man as you, meaning Leo, the king of our group, is just as good as Tybalt. And he goes, and my guy's like, say better. And he goes, are you saying better? And I say, I think I say better. And it was like, no. And then it's on. I quote me. I'll get checked in the comments, but that's kind of what it was. It was a long time ago.
Right.
So that's basically the undercurrent is to just any movie. You want to say West Side Story? Do you want to say Colors? Do you want to say whatever? The basic meat of that is two rival gangs.
Yes.
And it's like, are you starting shit with me? No, but I'm not a bitch.
Right.
Are you saying your guy's better than me? No, but he's no less than your guy. So you're saying he's better? And he's like, what did we say? If he says it, and that's what he's like, say better. And I say, better. And then it's...
Right. Then it's on.
Yeah.
I don't know why it reminded me in the moment when you said that Baz was like, yeah, you got to get jacked up. You know, you got to get jacked up or whatever. It reminded me of you talking to Stephen Baldwin and talking about how Coke was like everywhere in the fight. Every fucking meeting you go. Let me finish what I have to say, okay? Before I was there in the 80s, okay, and I knew where to get blow, and I didn't really particularly like that drug. I've said before I couldn't get a hard on when I took blow, so that but.
Coke cock.
But Coke cock. I had it. And
whiskey dick.
You know, it's one of those things too where you bang your head against the wall and you just keep like that's the like definition of being insane is like doing coke and then think you're gonna fuck. You know, I did that 20 times before I wasted a lot of money. And but I just wanted to let you know, as far as I saw, like. There was no coke out. There was nobody like any meet. And I, after the Terminator, just let me tell you my experience. I can already tell you all the meetings that I ever took, there was never any coke around. And I'll tell you a quick story about Bill Paxton and I, when you went sideways with me like that. So tell me I don't think that's true, Michael.
Which part?
That
Coke?
vibe. The Coke. Yeah, their Coke wasn't fucking on tables when you go in for meetings.
I'm thinking that you just went for high-end. You had high-end projects.
Oh, I see.
But I'm sure on some of these B movies, like a Canon, meeting.
But when you say you're sure, you don't know.
I will say this. There's a legacy, I believe. He didn't say it, but there's a legacy that
Stephen?
No, not Stephen. Okay. Stephen was talking, I think, more about in Massapequa, where he's from, and in high school. But I think he might. You
seemed so astonished that he would do blow on the night of his prom.
Yeah, I thought that was
why
weird.
And why would you?
Why would you do blow as a guy in New York City as a wrestler? Because I just thought that was a glamorous drug that it wouldn't be in upstate New York with the, you know what I mean. And he was a super athlete. So I was like, what? That's like a...
How good of a wrestler was he?
Oscar night, I think very intense. I think all the Baldwins are very intense. I'm not a fighter. I am psycho, but I'm not a fighter. But there's like a few actors I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't fight one Baldwin.
The Baldwins, huh?
Yes, because I also wouldn't fight you. You know what I'm saying? I know people that will use any means. I could never. I'm a psycho, but I also know intensity, and that's why I love you, because you're so intense.
Yeah, well,
I just want to go back to the Coke comment.
Go ahead.
I wasn't here in the 80s. If you talked a different language, but I talked to a legacy guy, and it was all over parties.
Of course. No, that's a different story.
I think there was some toots going on, but maybe not in your meetings. And by the way, I've never done Coke, and I just never did it because I always had a heart problem. But my brother did it, and he was like, "There's no reason for you to do it." What
do you mean you had a heart problem?
I always had a weird rhythm heart. So
do you still have a weird rhythm heart?
It's under control, but so I never.
I had open heart surgery.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm glad everything's good. So yeah, it's Coke does not go good with the ticker, but I never had a desire to do it. I mean, because everyone did tell me you have a boner, but you don't get a boner. They told all types of stuff.
Well, I was doing a movie called Lords of Discipline with Bill Paxton, Rick Rossovich, David Keith, not Keith David. There used to be a guy named David Keith.
Yes.
And we were doing a movie. Frank Rodham directed it. What was his first movie, Jim? What was that great one that he did with Sting and
Quadrophenia.
Okay. Great English director. And we were doing a movie about cadets, and Mark Breland played it's about the stories, a Pat Conroy novel, based on a Pat Conroy novel about the first black cadet at the Citadel, which is like the Southern version of
I remember this movie.
Okay. So it was all guys and whatever. So we had like 30 minutes for a setup or something like that. And Bill's like, "Hey, Michael, you want to go do some blow?" I was like, And yeah, sure. Anytime anybody offers me anything, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. I didn't have any dialogue. It wasn't like, I had to worry about anything. So we were shooting at a place called Wellington College back there. So Bill and I spend about 5 minutes going. They were shooting outdoors. We go interior, and we go up like to the second floor and down 2 hallways and to the left, and we, decide we're going to do a little bit of blow. So he's putting out lines, we're talking, and we're doing a little bit of blow, and we're talking and laughing and having a good time. And all of a sudden it was like, hello, gentlemen. And we turn around. It's fucking Frank Rodham, the director. I mean, we had made a point of like getting absolutely lost. And he said, hello, gentlemen.
I can't wait for the next part.
Well, it goes back to a little bit like what you were talking about.
Is it going to be what I think it is?
It was, I hope you left a little for me.
Yes! Yes! So wait. You totally just took your point, which was anti my point, but then proved my point even more. You're like, there was no coke. We didn't do it in meetings. We did it before the close-up. What the fuck are you saying? We didn't do coke fucking off women's vaginas. We did it on your coverage. I mean, bro, I've never seen that.
Well, like I said, neither he or I think we're
hilarious.
You know how they hold you all day long for passing by a shot or something like that.
I just heard, I heard in the 70s, I heard in weed it was the 60s in the bowl. Hey, man, let's talk about this movie. I mean, if you talk about Easy Rider, that was an independent movie, so you don't think Hop and those guys...
Of course they were.
Let's talk about it.
That was a whole different drug culture than
in the 70s, I heard... It was LSD, maybe not in the meetings, but it was a little more psychedelic. And in the 80s, I heard there was coke. So,
and I just wanted to tell you, I just wasn't as trying to make that point that it was not as prevalent. I mean, I was scared to death. I was.
You did a great job proving me there's no coke in Hollywood. And in the 90s,
I'm good that way. I can when I have a point, I like to make it.
But I know what you're saying. Listen, it's your world.
Well, listen. Another thing that I liked about the Stephen Baldwin podcast that you did with him was the story that he told about rumors of war. What was it?
Casualties of war.
Casualties of war.
Yeah.
And the story he told about De Palma, that. I mean, he has the balls to come out and tell that story. I believed every second of that story, from the time that he met Sean Penn until the time that Sean came in with like a wild accent he'd never heard before, and he went, wait, cut. I wasn't ready for that. De Palma taking his headphones off, throwing them at him, and then running over at him and getting him in his face, and I'm sure saying, nobody fucking cuts my set, motherfucker, ba ba ba, like this far away.
Yeah.
And that was a story that, you just, and I was hoping, because you said, I've got a few stories too, but I just haven't told them yet. I thought maybe I could get you to maybe throw somebody under the bus here while we're doing this.
I would love to tell one, and I want to comment on that. Okay. And because even podcasting, because you're of a different generation than me. Your generation, raised my generation.
Yep.
And, Jack raised you. And so it's like, I would never talk about this stuff, but our business is so changed. Yep. Everything's so wild.
It is.
And I have the utmost respect for Sean Penn as an artist.
So do I, dude.
As an artist.
As a person.
Incredible. I have the utmost respect for De Palma as an artist.
Doesn't seem that good in those long-term relationships, but anyway, continue on.
And so, but Steven, I have so much respect for him because he just doesn't, he just is like, it happened. He doesn't care. And I owe him so much for him to share that. And it was so beautiful. And he's got such a legacy.
It was.
And he comes from such a family. But it wasn't, the thing is that me and him we don't think it's bad. Like, do you understand? Like, after, I don't know if you remember the other part of the story, not only did that happen, he got fired off the movie quietly. And he said he's got to go pack up. And
they've already.
And they was like, no, your bags are done. I mean,
they went into his room and packed his bags for him and brought them
in Thailand.
Yeah.
He never cried about it.
Yeah.
He never complained. he was like, and he had an illustrious career after.
Yes.
And a lot of people can learn in our new world like that. So here's a little story. So, and I tell the story, and I don't care anymore because I think it's interesting, and it's just, to me.
Oh, you tell me. I'll tell you one of mine. Which
I can't
haven't
wait.
Told before, okay?
I'll tell you. Let me tell you.
Billy Friedkin. But go ahead. Yes, go.
So to me, I'm Rat Pack. I am old school. You know, there's certain things that stay within the game. You know what I'm saying? And a set is play. Barring like some kind of crazy abuse, which everyone has their different lines.
Yes, of course.
There's nothing you can say to me, you can holler at me, that would really make me, this is part of the creative process. It's a lot of pressure. It's $70 million. Everyone's job's on the line. And we're trying to make something great. So I'm the last person to ask about on-set etiquette because I think that you could do a lot. So that's unnecessary is different. There's unnecessary, and then there's just pressure, getting the shot the sun's going to set.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a movie called Three Kings, and this is a known story, but I guess I can just give more details. But
wait. Before you start that, can you run the David O. Russell clip? Yeah, this is who you're working with here. It's David O. Russell. I'm sure you're aware of that, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows.
Fuck you! I was trying to fucking help you. Do you understand me? No, I'm being a fucking collaborator. I was trying to help you figure out your fucking picture. Hey, bitch, I'm not here to be fucking yelled at. I worked on this fucking thing for 3 fucking years, not to have some fucking cunt yell at me in front of the fucking crew when I'm trying to fucking help you, bitch. Figure it out yourself.
Well, I have figured it out.
Yeah, fuck yourself.
Good. Why don't you fuck your whole movie?
For you.
Why don't you fuck
Lily
your whole movie?
Tomlin.
Because that's what you're doing.
Here he comes through the door again.
We better get some insurance and get some direction.
Yelling out there. Watch him come through the door. Screaming, motherfucking bitch. Motherfucking whore.
You're a fucking grown-up. Act like a grown-up. You're not a baby. You're a fucking grown-up. I'm here to fucking help you. That's all I was doing, was trying to help you figure out everything. But I can yell. You can talk to me. But I can yell. You can talk to me. Am I yelling? Do I not fucking yell at you before right now? No.
everyone's leaving the set.
So with this, you've seen that before, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So does it have anything to do with David O. Russell or this story?
Oh my! Now, granted, that was 6 years after I worked with him.
Okay.
First of all, Lily Tomlin's incredible to just hold her composure. David is clearly triggered about something. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Are they still friends? Did they got through it? I think they got through that.
Well, I think it's an.
Listen, anything I say.
By the time the movie comes out, I think it's best that they did get through it.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, when they're doing press and shit.
Oh my God!
No, this came out. I'm sure this came out after the movie. Anyway.
I mean, I know it's not the best way on set. It's not great to communicate that way, but it is funny to
like
watch.
that.
Yes, it's
probably not the best.
Not the best way.
No.
Probably because I'm waiting. I'm judging people that are going to judge me on the way I react to this. But I mean, Lily Tomlin's approach, she wasn't affected at all. But I mean, obviously, you shouldn't talk to her like that. No, it's not right. But here's what I want to say. So imagine the intensity of. I could tell you in my mind why I think he was acting like that. I can tell you all the stuff.
Please.
Well, he needed a hit. There's a lot of. I don't know.
What?
He needed a hit movie.
Oh, a hit. Okay. I thought maybe you were going to.
No. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying. Listen, here's what I want to say. Is that, so, because I'm like listening to how people are. But so we're doing Three Kings.
Yep.
We're supposed to shoot it in Saudi Arabia. I guess there's a budget. So we shoot it in Chandler, I believe, Arizona. It's as hot as it is right now outside.
Yeah.
And
George Clooney.
It's George. It's Mark. It's
Mark
Ice
Wahlberg.
Cube.
Mark Wahlberg was so fucking good in that.
Oh,
And so were you, except for
thank
your.
you, buddy.
Did he make you put that mask on?
I had to
keep
wear
that mask on all the time.
I had to wear it a lot.
Did you ever try to like put it up and he said, "Put the mask down"? And you'd like put it up so they could see your face, and he'd tell you to put it back down.
Yeah, we would try.
You fight over whether you had the mask down or not.
I would be like, well, I'd have to. I'm not a big prop guy. I hate props.
Well, especially one that covers your whole fucking face when you're trying to act, right?
But I was like, hey, his vision. So listen, it was an intense movie. It was about an amazing subject with an entertaining way of telling the story.
Yeah.
Nora Dawn, Judy Greer. It's just so many people in this movie.
Yeah.
If I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize.
Well, who was the girl from Saturday Night Live that you were working
Nora.
with? Nora Dunn?
Nora,
Is that
yeah,
right?
incredible.
Yeah.
So my process on that movie might have been different from other people. So listen, we would rehearse, and like Baz made us do Shakespeare, right? But we can't really improv on Shakespeare, right?
Of course.
But he gave us a book of Shakespearean insults that we could use as a cutaway. So we would still be in character and in the world. And that was incredible freedom. And now David, we would go and we would, it's great, Michael, and I know you would love this more than anything, what we don't have today. We would have rehearsal.
Yeah.
We have a week of rehearsal. And we go down to the Holiday Inn, and we would sit and we'd have coffee, and he'd film everything, and he'd go, do this, do that, and we would get 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And he would say something in rehearsal, and David would just be like, ha, it's so fucking funny. He's like, write that down, keep that. And he goes, oh, that's fucking terrible. Like, there's no filter, and it's beautiful, okay? Yeah. And it's like, I'm just happy to be there. You know what I mean? I know the caliber, and the test of time, Three Kings will be in the test of time of greatness, right? And so we're shooting on all types of locations. It was wild. There's a lot going on. He had a lot of pressure. George had a lot of pressure. Everybody did, So there was a day where we had a bunch of extras. I don't know, 100. And it's hot, and there's a helicopter shot, and there's 6 cameras over here, and it's 1,000 degrees, and we're carrying all these heavy bodies that are dead, but they're fucking like mannequins, and they're heavy ones, and we had to carry them, we had to put them down, pick them up, and lunch was fucking in the heat, and all this stuff, and we were doing the best we could.
This is in Arizona.
Yeah. And I guess, and George is the ultimate diplomat, great actor, great diplomat. David, great artist, great director, but also, no filter. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
clearly it's
no
there.
No filter, yeah.
And so, and he's passionate. And at the end of the day, the movie's the movie. He's not going to murder. He's not going to beat anyone to make a great movie. But he clearly gets emotional, right?
Okay.
And crosses lines.
Like that on your movie?
I don't. Here's what the thing is. It's crazy that Lily is the coolest cucumber of all, because there was much more tension back and forth, and not with Lily. Like, she handled that like a super Buddha. So anyway, long story boring, was we're carrying all this stuff, a lot going on, and Dave, and we had the AED, so his AED was English guy, I forget his name. Julian's great guy. He's like, fucking carry it, fucking bathe in it. We had all this milk. It would come out. It was like water, and he was like, to the people, and he's like, bathe in it. It's holy water. He's giving all these people direction. Yep. So we were carrying something, and he was like, grab Cube. I think it was Cube, and the background guy's like, grab him, like, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. And the background actor, there's a lot of pressure on him. He just wasn't getting what David wanted. He's like, I want you to fucking grab him to the point and take him down, or something like that, right? Right. So he grabbed the guy. Not bad, because it were me. I've been touched by tons of people that it's like they want what they want. I'm your tool, right. And he crossed the line, I guess, and he grabbed the guy, and he's like this. And the guy kind of was like, stumbled, right? And he's like, that's how I want you to fucking do it. Again, it's not the way you should do things, but I see all sides. No one was hurt, okay? George, I believe, said this. If I'm snitching, I don't know, but it was all written about. George said, hey, David, I can't believe I'm telling this story, but I will.
Quit beating the fuck out of the extras.
He goes,
the diplomat that he is.
he said, hey, I understand. He said something like, I understand your passion and you want to make this movie. There's a lot of pressure on all of us, but don't put your hands on another fucking actor or something. I don't think he said fucking. He said, don't ever touch an actor in my presence again. Like that. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Okay. And And this is it's 27 years ago, but so I hope to still work with all these people. But so I believe when he walked away, I'm pretty fucking sure, dude, that David said, "Hey, George, why don't you just worry about your fucking acting?" And that was at that moment they were button heads the whole movie, and George turns around and goes, and George looked like he wanted to rip him in half, and Dave was like, "Come on," like that, and it was the perfect pull away because George was so mad right there, and David, they were both being held back, and they needed to be held back, and they were both going to just destroy each other. And he's like, "Fuck it." And there was fucking people fighting, pushing people back, and all this stuff is 1,000 degrees. And then Juliet goes,
milk all over the place.
It's all over the place, and everyone's like this, and people are going back and forth, and Dustin, and Julian goes, "All right, lunch." That's lunch. And they're like, fuck Grice, cool Grice. And so they fucking they came back after lunch, and that guy, that was fucking, some big physical production guy at Warner Brothers he goes, "All right, this fucking set," everyone started dropping F-bombs. It was great. A corporate guy said, "This fucking set is shut down to further fucking notice. Tell Chuck to land the copter. You guys send back fucking background. Second team, everybody." So and we're like, fuck. So we go back. We're like, "What are you going to do?" And Mark's like, "Yo, we're going back to the Holiday Inn." And Cube, we're all like, "All right, let's go play basketball." So, right? So we're all just fucking done. And it was intense, but dude, and you can tell this story's better than me. It's like I had already worked with 5 legends at this point. And I consider David now the 6th. Whatever you feel about him personally,
can you just say
his artistic
who else did
voice?
You work with? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Baz, Wes Craven,
okay,
James L. Brooks,
okay,
Tony Scott,
okay, yeah,
you know what I mean? I've already worked,
yes,
and I was like, I've seen crazy things. Art is fucking art. Again, no one's getting beaten up. George is handling his own. George at that time was becoming the mayor of Hollywood, and rightfully so. Yeah,
and very rightfully so.
And so, he was and he was sticking up for the underman, whatever. And it was, but I've seen shit. I've seen all types of shit. And so, long story boring is, it was a tense thing. The next day, they called us. We started at a half a day. And David publicly apologized, said I should never do that. I was wrong. I apologize. Everybody, I will never do that again.
Was George like...
I'm working out my emotions. And I think he just did a very nice apology.
Yep.
I don't know if George was there.
Right.
And then he's like, but let's just get to work and get through this. It's a hell of a movie, but it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Everybody clapped. We went on, and I don't think him and George really communicated much after that. I don't know if he gave him notes to someone else to give to George. Now, one of the things I have to tell you this, because I think George is an amazing actor.
Yes.
He's never said an unreal thing on camera, naturalistic beyond. And he gets his stuff in his way. What I noticed his process a little bit. I did. It's he sees his script. He's got a job to do. He does it. And David, it's just in the middle of try this, cut that out, fucking say this. He goes, I like David could be like, I like turtles, and George would be like, what? And be like, just say I like fucking turtles. You know what I mean? Whatever.
That's what was freaking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I grew up doing all types of different work, Sanford Meisner and all this shit. But I also knew that at any moment, my teacher had a teacher, and he's like, dude, you're a cog in the wheel. They tell you to jump, you say, how fucking high? You don't ask questions. You fucking come out when they need you, do your little song and dance, and you leave. And so I never was he's like, have no fucking personality. Be a be moldable. So that was always taught to me. And I'm not saying George wasn't. I'm saying that he just had a certain way, and he's, he was doing it, works for him. And I think David would change so much. And
that's what Lily Tomlin was saying at the beginning.
Yes.
I cut it in half, but she was saying, you want me to do this? I got to put my foot up here. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I got to remember the lines. I mean, Jesus Christ.
But my part got bigger and bigger because because they let me improvise. So that was my my angle there, and I'm just one of the side characters, and George was the lead, and he had his arc and all this stuff, and they have to do what they have to do. My point to that whole story was, we're just saying, is that I had been in a lot of situations where I'd seen people are like, just say this, say that, do this, do that. So I got to it, and then I can relate years later on a movie where I work with a director I absolutely love, and was my first really big lead.
Who's that? What director?
Larry Guterman.
Okay.
And I love you, Larry.
Okay.
But I would have and we had tons of effects and kids and fucking animals and all this stuff, right? I would have my idea of all the beats in the scene, and I like the scenes the way they're written. So I had them down, and then I would improvise after we got it. Uh-huh. And the minute I would say...
What movie?
It was called Son of the Mask. It was a sequel to The Mask.
Okay.
It's you don't have to watch it. A lot of people have problems with it. But here's the situation. It was everything. It was a big budget movie. And I was about to say, honey, listen. And then I have a whole speech. And Larry would go, hey, no, try this. And I go, Larry, just let me get this thought out. And he go, but okay. And so it took us about 2 weeks to learn each other's style, because he's so technically brilliant and I'm so wildly emotional that he needed things out of me technically that I wasn't doing.
Right.
So
like hitting your mark?
Yeah, part of it. And knowing the best light and all this stuff.
Right, yeah.
So I had to learn technician acting and like how to do that. And he had to learn, like, he's like, okay, I know how you work. I give you, get it out. And he goes, unless you're wasting roll, I won't cut if I'm never going to fucking use it. And so but it took us a minute, and it was beautiful. And I would work with him until the day I die. So I understand when people get interrupted, how it can be. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your take, and you're doing that fucking John Connor moment. I can't imagine what you were going through, but you want to get, as an actor, we want to get our emotions out.
Jim is such a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
When you got like great words to say, it makes all the difference in the world. And Jim and I don't remember Jim and I ever talking about the character. I don't remember talking about like takes. He might say a little more, a little less, something along those lines. But anybody who's got a script like that was like that. Aliens was like that. The Abyss was like that. And Tombstone was like that. Nobody wanted to change a word because the words were so good.
Yes.
And
yes.
so that...
No, but Three Kings is the same. I mean, and Son of the Mask was a great script. We changed the movie. But, like, Three Kings was that way. But David he's like, it's never done. And he would tell me that. He was on this movie, I would have did this, I would have did this. And this next movie, he said a movie is never done.
Right.
And
well,
so,
Quentin says it's never done until the last cut, I think he says, or the last sound, something. Anyway, last cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was one of many stories that happened. But I'm not dissing anybody. Listen, at the end of the day, I've heard, to the general public who might get mad at I didn't condemn certain people.
Well,
George is George.
Condemn somebody else.
George is George. He's a legend, and he will always be a legend. And David is his own legend, and I don't condone his behavior with Lily Tomlin, but I also understand his passion as an artist. And again, where's your line? I've seen people do the most dumbest fucking shit to people. I've heard the terribly dumb shit that you don't need that fucks a whole film up because of their ego. You know what I'm saying?
What did you tell Cameron, Michael, on Terminator when he said to you, Michael, that's exactly the way I don't want you to deliver that line?
Well, he said, that's exactly what I don't want. And I said, I said, well, Jim, everybody on this set knows that you can do their job better than they can. And it's true, whether it was makeup, whether it's visual effects, whether it was special, whether it's camera, whether it's pull and focus. Everybody knows that you can do their job better than they can. But you can't play Kyle Reese. So give me a fucking line reading and let's move on. And he gave me a line reading, and I did the line reading, and that was that. And I mean, listen, I love Jim.
This
and
is brilliant.
Well,
Can I comment on that?
Please comment.
Is that
that's why you're here for commenting.
Dude, that's so brilliant. That was so deep. But I that's why I love you and respect you so much, because I had a legendary director, James L. Brooks, who was in that same wheelhouse. He literally, I would do this take.
What'd you
over
do
and
with
over
him?
again.
What'd you do with him?
I did his movie. It's called As Good as It Gets, but at the time it was Old Friends.
Fuck, of course.
Well,
yeah.
I love that movie.
It was an amazing. I think it was up for Best Picture that year. Jack won. But with Jack, as you know, you get 10.
Helen Hunt won, too.
Yeah, Helen Hunt won. It was incredible. Kinnear was nominated. My buddy Skeet was incredible in it. It's
Cuba Gooding is great.
Cuba Gooding's incredible. With Jack, you get 10 door-to-door.
What's that mean?
Yeah.
You pick them up on Mulholland, and you got 10 hours with them. It doesn't matter if you stop at Del Taco. You got 10.
Especially if there's a Lakers game later.
100%. If he stops for 2 hours, you build that into the schedule. You got 10.
Right.
So at some point, it's a long story, but I was just not giving him what he.
I didn't watch that.
It's fine. My part was small, but I had a lot of great scenes that were cut. I would get to be a part of, and it was school for me.
Wow.
Standing next to Jack and watching him and all this stuff.
Wow.
And so, at one point, I was just doing this, and James L. Brooks was like, I'll try to do the impression. I haven't heard him talking about it. He's like, where's the guy I hired?
Oh, no.
Where's that guy? Like, I don't know why I made him Seinfeld. Kramer, what are you doing?
He was a
But he had a higher voice. He's like, what is that? That's awful. Like, literally in a set in front of 80 people, which I was like, dude, I don't want to fuck this up. And Jack is literally in the corner waiting to do his scene, and I swear he mouthed tink, tink. Like, I'm not kidding.
Mouth what?
Tink, tink. Like, so I'm like, fuck, I got him. I got the creator of Taxi, everything. I got Helen. So I go, what do you need? He goes, I'm going to tell you what I fucking want. I don't know why I'm making Seinfeld. And he's like, go in here.
Ahead, play him a Seinfeld.
He's like, do this. Go in there. Grab the do the face. Do the fucking face. And so I went in and it did it. And he would behind the monitor and he would go, ha, 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 and he just started laughing. And he's like, there he is. Do it again. And they're like, Jim, you got to be quiet. We can't use sound. So he gave me a line reading multiple times. I did it. And then he said, now do what you want. And I did it. And he goes, fucking cut. And he hugged me. He goes, see, I knew you had it in you. All right, Jack, let's go. Like, it was never personal. It was never anything. He just wanted what he wanted, and he wasn't getting it. I'm like, dude, I'm your tool. And from that moment on, he goes, if you're an actor, he told me, he's like, I'll do the Seinfeld. If you're an actor and if you let a director know that you can give you a line reading, let them know that. Because I don't want to hold up production.
Yeah, right.
I'm not so precious.
Yes.
And
me neither.
And I think directors love that because then they get what they want and then they trust you. And it's nothing bad. And it's just acting.
Well, when you're working with Brooks or you're working with Cameron or you're working, with people like that, you work with Tony Scott. Talk to me about Tony Scott, and because I've always heard nothing but incredibly wonderful things about Tony Scott.
Another pure spirit, pure soul. And I just want to comment on the James L. Brooks thing is that, as you know, and what our town has lost, and hopefully not forever, besides Paul Thomas Anderson's and Quentin's and, the Safdie brothers and other people, if I'm leaving out, is this artist auteur, obviously James Cameron he's been doing it for his whole career. Is that we're losing, the auteurs are losing their voice. I remember going in for a TNT show, and I don't care. It was like the 8th season for like an amazing like porn director, cokehead, and I had 9.
Good, sounds like a great role.
Great role.
Yeah.
I had like 9 people. I destroyed it. It was like I just gotten offered something else. I destroyed it, and they're like, Jamie was fantastic. He's not right. I just remember so many notes, and I'm like, this is the opposite of movies. Because on movies, they trust you, and they go, but they overthought this so much, and I thought that's the difference between what auteurs do and what corporate art is. So I was so spoiled. So Tony Scott was another great, just all my auditions were really just like this.
Were you in the room with Tony?
Yeah, I auditioned and with one of our legend casting directors, and I apologize because
it's okay.
Yes,
it's all right.
But I love you, and I forget. She's
I never had to deal with them.
Jeannie, it was Jeannie, and so Jeannie like brought me in. She's so sweet, and I went, and Tony's sitting there in like a bungalow somewhere, and he's
Beverly
like,
Hills.
somewhere, and he's like, I'll try to do the
hotel.
impression again. God rest his soul. He's like, oh, I got a guy here, fucking technician. He's always fucking like that, you know. Like, fucking, and he's like, I got a guy here. He's like in a van, you know. He's fucking always walking this thing. You seen the conversation, right? You fucking seen it. So like he was talking me through it. He's like, yeah, you do that, and it's kind of like you how we started. He's like, yeah. So he had the script. He's like, and then I say this, and you fucking say what? I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, like that, but more fucking bewildered. And we just would go back and forth, and it said Tech 1 on the script. And then he's like, well, what would Jamie say is a tech? And I would say, oh, he's running down Bleecker and Fifth, sir. We've got him on track. And it was all, I was a technician in this movie that was helped Gene Hackman. That's John Voight and then Will Smith.
Did you get to see any of those? Well, remember to remind
all of
me
it.
About Voight.
Another amazing run of picture movie where I would shoot for a few days in a row and then have off a week, and I was making so much money.
Right.
Disney, people can say whatever they want. They do pay well. And
Disney?
Well, the residuals are. I still get so many residuals.
Yeah, okay,
but
go
no,
ahead.
I know they're
Anyways.
tough on the beginning. They're tough up front. But so
They always have been with me.
yeah,
but go ahead.
Well, the residuals because they distribute. I get checks from Jakarta. You know what I'm saying? Like they fucking do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So I just got to do it, and I think, you know, and I put Baz in this category. Wes, you know, there's not many people like this where Tony is the epitome of class. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm talking the accoutrements that we got on this set.
Is that French or?
I think so. It was like just to this day, I use, you know, Frank Oz is also like this. I use the binder from Enemy of the State. It's this beautiful Italian leather company, highly expensive, and I've used it on every movie since as my script and my Bible, all my notes. He was late one day, so like 4 hours, and he's like, oh no, he never got to me. There was like, I got there the first day, and I was supposed to work, and I didn't work. I was supposed to work Monday morning, and I didn't work till Friday night, and it was literally like across from Will, and it was like, yes. And it was it. It was like literally one insert shot. And he's like, I'm a fucking cunt. I'm so sorry. Fucking out. Yeah. And he literally, there was a box of flowers and like a huge box of like Cohibas. Like he's just classy.
Right.
I got so many gifts on that movie because he takes care of his people.
Yep.
But he also felt like he owed us anything. Like, and it was nuts. And so just did auteur, obviously the lineage of his brother, as you know. And you probably know him because you probably worked with him and would probably seen him around.
Well,
and he was a cinephile. Like I can only imagine like how Quentin is of these. They study movies, and he would. Dude, this was the first time I ever did a movie, and I did it with Baz, I think, where we would shoot multiple cameras. But I think it was the first time ever, and Three Kings, but we shot 7 cameras on either side. So he got everyone's real-time reaction.
Got 7 cameras.
I think
on
it
one
was
side
3 and 3.
Really?
And then a wide.
Yeah.
And then he would do these wild building shots where he just wanted to cut the way to it. And so he was like, your performance every time is going to be in the fucking lens. I'm editing it in my head. And he shot both sides. He lit for the scene.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, it is incredible.
And very rare. And so easy. Like for me, I could have did it either way because my part wasn't huge. But for like the lead, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But he's incredible. This is what our town. They would give him $80 million. I think that was a big break for Will because it was his first action movie. They paid him a big money, and he took a chance with all these up and coming actors. But they never bothered us. And it was Jerry. It was great because he had Jerry Bruckheimer.
Right.
So Jerry was like probably the buffer to the studio, and it was just awesome.
He. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I got to meet Tony very early in his career when I was working at Paramount. We had him come in and we'd hired him to direct a movie that never got made. But in our first meeting with him, he told us at great length how he was going to shoot a coffin at the very beginning of the movie. But he just had this sort of warmth and generosity and kind of bubbling enthusiasm that carried the room. And, you know, as I said, that movie didn't get made, but within a few years, he was back to do Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Top Gun.
Well,
And
He's
so-
the sweetest, like he said, the bubbly enthusiasm. He's the sweetest.
You mentioned Jerry Bruckheimer, and Jerry Bruckheimer kind of gave me a break at a certain time in my life.
Yeah, which movie? It was a big movie.
The Rock.
The Rock.
Huge.
Yeah, and that Bruckheimer has got his. He is so successful in so many movies and so many televisions. There's two guys. At one time when we were doing The Rock, Jerry came up to me and he said, "Hey, Michael, I'm thinking about doing a television series. Down, maybe shoot it in Florida. I'm not sure, but I think I want to do a television series. Would you be interested?"
Oh no.
And I was like, I don't know, Jerry. I don't think I'm ready to do a series right now. So that was the end of that. And I've run into him once or twice since. He's a sweet guy. He's a wonderful guy. I was with Don Simpson a couple days before he died. Don Simpson was on that set a little bit. And Don Simpson used to come to a party.
Don.
Are you saying this means this, meaning I'm not working with you anymore, or that series is done?
No, he just said, "Would you be interested in doing
CSI?
Yeah." It was whatever Jerry Bruckheimer went on to make.
We would have air conditioning right now.
We would be air conditioning right now, right? Yes, yeah.
We'd be shooting this in Culver City.
Well, here's the other one. I used to have a great agent. His name was Ed Lurhmann, who handled Mel Gibson, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Legend.
Yeah,
God rest
and he was
his
a
soul.
legend. And
What a legend.
he called me up once and he said, "Yeah, I got a guy on the phone that's interested in doing a television series with you, Michael. His name's Dick Wolf." And and for what I remember it perfectly. I remember him saying and me saying, "I don't know."
Here's the thing.
I'm not really ready to. I don't really feel.
You
like
would have had money forever.
I know,
But
here you go. You're making a good point.
Well, no,
okay?
you would have had 100 million, 200 million, whatever. There's some of the series don't always work. My
Bruckheimer's
buddy,
and
Bruckheimer's did for sure, and Dick's do forever. But at the end of the day, I know that inside you're an actor, so you're like, I want to change the character. But you could have did 8 years and then bounced and got a piece of the back end.
Well, I made a lot of mistakes.
It happens. No mistakes, just different choices.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life. What did you? Why do you have an uncredited uncredited part in Dead Poets Society? Were you up for one of those roles or?
No, it's crazy. I guess once I got more famous, they put it up there. But I was, that was the first anything I ever did. My friend's mom was a local actress, and she was a legend. I was working at Domino's Pizza outside of Philly, and she knew I wanted to be an actor, and she said, "I think I can get you on the set as background." And I'm like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Atmosphere, darling." It's like she had an accent, but she was from Philly. And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "An extra." And I was like, "Oh, real? No." She's like, "There's a movie being filmed." I had no idea what it was. It takes place in a boys' school. And if you come down with me tomorrow, I'll pick you up at 4:30. We'll drive to Delaware. We report at 5:15 and bring these clothes and stuff and whatever. And I did, and I met like the second, and they asked me, and they said, "Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to do this?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Okay, come tomorrow at like 5 a.m. And that was my first, like, it was like, did I have the clothes? Would I cut my hair or something else? And it was like,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you get a chance to see Robin Williams?
Well, so I do all this. I'm there. They're like, "You're going to get meals." I'm like, "Meals? This was crazy." You get $60 a day, which was great.
Yep.
And within the first day, we're shooting a huge crowd scene, which was I just, part of. And I at the craft service table, and I'm like reaching for a baby carrot, and over there, like dipping his own baby carrot. That's a weird thing to say. Is and hummus. It was Robin Williams. And he's literally like, and then he's like doing John Wayne with the whole cast and making him die laughing. And I was like, it was literally, I was working at Domino's the night before.
Right.
And I'd never never knew anything about Hollywood. I didn't know anything. This was being on Jupiter.
Oh, wow.
And once I
wow,
stepped
wow.
on that set, once I saw him, and I have to give love to all the background people because it was the United Nations. It was gay, straight, trans, black, white, old, young, women, men. And they all had, you know how they love to talk, the background. And so each of them had a story of a different. I'm like, that's Robin Williams. They're like, yeah, dummy, this is his movie. Don't you know what you're doing? And then they educated me. And those 3 days in Delaware, I got such an education. They told me about background agencies. They told me everything you have to do. And then they talked to me about feature and how you feature. And so from literally, dude, the energy like on that set, like there's something called grounding. If you stand on the earth barefoot, you get grounded to it. Like I felt I had my life. It was my lightning bolt hit me, and I never looked back. It was incredible.
Where are we?
We're about an hour 13. You wanted me to remind you about John Voight.
About what?
John Voight.
Yeah, no, yeah. I wanted to ask you about Roe v. Wade.
Okay.
Yeah, listen. I've done a lot of movies where I played scumbags. I played, and I'm not saying that the character you played is, but I played, racist in Lords of Discipline. The movie I was telling you about Bill Paxton. I play a racist. I'm like, racist, and this and then that. And
racist cokehead.
Your memory's better than I thought it would be. You know, pretty good for an old younger. So anyway, I played like a lot of. I did a television movie called Deadly Intentions, based on the true story, and I played a doctor who was like devastatingly brutal to his wife and stuff like that. And like nobody ever said, "Hey, what the hell happens on Roe v. Wade?" Where it's a movie, and I guess does it? You know, I was trying to cram as much stuff of yours as I possibly could into this, and so I saw a lot of it, but I didn't see all of it. Does it have like a big, with John Voight, because we know John Voight's politics, does it have a big like right-wing spin to it? Is that, and why did people come after you for being an actor in it?
Well, you know, John Voight to me is one of our Mount Rushmores.
Yep.
He's a goat. A goat as an actor, one of the greatest ever. Completely natural, but also can do any character. You know, if you look at his resume,
brilliant.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
And also a absolute goat as a human being, one of the greatest. He is the salt of the earth. He's a beautiful man, the first person to show up to set, the last person to leave. So I am doing stuff, and, you know, I get, you know, the offers I get, you know, I usually aren't the best ones, you know, and so I get an offer. Not that they're bad, it's just like what I can do, or, you know, it's going to be straight to Pakistan Red Box, you know what I mean? I want something
I do know quite a bit about that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I got an offer, and it's for this movie, Roe v. Wade. I'm like, oh my God, this is about a topic that's relevant as ever, and
it's like a couple years ago.
This was
before COVID or after?
6 years ago when we shot it.
Okay,
the movie changed my life in so many ways, and it was independently financed. And I was going, and everyone on my team at the time, they were like, "Well,
you have a team."
At the time I had the little agent manager and stuff.
Okay,
so it was like they were like, you know, it's a controversial thing. They made me a very great offer. And they were like, "Look, you're playing the leader of basically the guy that's pushing for the women's movement." So now his intentions in the movie, they're gonna say, are right wing and conspiracy theorists and stuff like that, because they're saying they had the character as somebody. One of the things that he did was looked at Planned Parenthood as a business. And so, but it's masked as a women's right issue.
Okay.
So,
is this based on a real person or just
based on Larry Later?
Okay.
And I got to wear the '60s clothes and the sideburns and the comb over, and the set was independent, beautiful people. Nick Loeb produced it; he starred in it, and my buddy Octavius was also a producer. Yeah. And basically, it was independent money in New Orleans. They treated me like a king, and I could eat and drink whatever I wanted because my character was like a fat, middle-aged Jewish guy who was beginning Planned Parenthood. So it was like a cool departure for Jamie Kennedy. So I was like, if I don't care if people don't like the politics. This is before we got nuts with politics. I said,
okay,
here's what I said, Michael. I said, I'm going to have great tape. I'm going to have great tape that I can take this tape.
Yes.
And I had gotten a role in a movie, Brad Pitt, and I got cut out of the movie. But the movie was in 2019 that came out, the summer before. And I forget. It was him in space, and I can't believe I forget the movie.
Him in space?
Yeah.
Ad Astra?
Yeah, Ad Astra. Because I think they changed the title. And another legendary director, and obviously Brad's a legendary star. And so I was on this role of like getting my cred back.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm like, this is another thing. So I'm like going to do that. And I went in for this dramatic pilot and Hulu and stuff. Long story. I do the movie. There was a lot of things happen. People walked off the movie. People complained. People protested the movie. And I had learned a fuck ton about the abortion movement and what it is and Planned Parenthood. And there's a lot to this stuff that is not talked about. And so it pissed a lot of people off.
The movie.
Well, just the fact that the movie was being made.
Okay.
It divided a ton of people. People left the set. Shout out to everybody who finished their job.
Over the politics?
Yeah,
of it?
then I guess there was some payment issues. Some people weren't getting paid. But I always got paid.
Yeah.
I think everyone did get paid, so I didn't know about that till later, so I apologize to anybody who didn't.
Right.
But, yes, a lot of basically they were saying that abortion was happening. One of the reasons was it was a money-making thing, disguised as a women's movement, but also Margaret Sanger, who was one of the original women's movement people, who was Larry Lader's mentor, basically was a eugenicist. And we're getting into territory now that people want to dismiss, or they call it conspiracy. But she had gone, this is documented in many books, to meetings, I believe, with the KKK, and also talked about how they had to curb the black population through birth. Now, that is written about.
Okay.
So we weren't totally nuts yet. So I started getting all of these interview requests. It's COVID, and we can't get a distributor. We can't rent cinemas. We can't even get it on Amazon. To get it on Amazon, the upload kept failing. Like this movie had a target on its back.
Wow.
And so Nick was like, I might just make DVDs. I went to CPAC. So, and it was the first time I wasn't supposed to be there because it's everything that's against liberalism. I have no idea what it is. I watched the movie. The audience goes crazy for the movie.
In a good way.
They love the movie.
Okay. Was this a right-wing audience that was watching the movie? And I don't want to talk about politics, but
I hate that term. I don't think...
Which term?
I hate, I don't know where you stand politically, but whatever you feel, I'll always love you. But I think it was probably highly Republican because it's CPAC.
Okay, conservative.
CPAC it is.
But are they out there going, hey, man? No, it wasn't. It was normal people who probably a lot of Christians and all that. I don't mean to say like that. I just hate, because I'm very sensitive because of the way I was attacked. So I did an interview with a great guy, and I did it for the Daily Beast. And it was a huge, in-depth article, and I knew I was going to be getting grilled. I didn't have all of my talking points, and it was basically Jamie Kennedy is in the headline, anti-abortion movie. And
that's the headlines of the interview you did with him?
Yes. And after that, I was just getting hit up, all of this stuff, and all these people saying, we're watching someone get radicalized right in front of our eyes. And I said, listen, I'm an actor. And they go, you know what you were supporting? And I'm like, this was a great role. Like, yeah, because you can't get any other role.
Oh my God.
They went nuts on me. I call these the Silver Lake loonies. You know what I'm saying? This is Echo Park. These are people that don't own property, look for every program, and I'll say it right to your face. Don't know what color hair you want this day. And I'm not saying I love you, but they went after me. They never had the pressure of anything, right? They haven't been successful yet. So this mob came for me, and I was so hurt, dude, that it literally changed my belief, and I started going against everything because I've done 3. But like people come for John for his politics. That's his politics. So what? I agree with a lot of John's politics. I also disagree with some politics. I agree with super liberal politics. I disagree with some of their politics. I'm in the middle.
Well, let me ask you.
But I've done 3 movies with John, and you never see a bill. He always wants you to win, and I've never heard him curse. Classiest man. I've never seen him drink anything but water.
Well, let me ask you, Jamie. When you say they came after me, you're talking about the internet, correct? You're talking about people.
The interview was not a review of the movie. It was a review of me and my choices. Then it spread to other places. Then all of the left-leaning people, once I kind of fought back, put me, and next thing you know, I was doing what they call right wing. This is why I'm triggered. Is like I only do Fox News and stuff, and Fox News is like, "What's the problem?" And then I ended up doing all these other right wing, I guess, articles. But other people did it, like the Post had me and different people. But I was like considered like, "Oh, Jamie Kenney's in a right wing movie, and he's doing the right wing."
Did other actors get attacked the same way, or is it because you did the article? Do you know?
Well, they were already. I didn't know that. I didn't know everyone's politics.
Yeah, okay.
There was a time.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you remember a time? I don't know if you remember this, Michael, where you were on set and you didn't know someone's sexuality.
Yes.
You didn't know what they ate for dinner.
Right.
You didn't know who they voted for. Because guess what?
It's starting to sound like Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Kramer. I don't want to hear you right wing. You're a right winger. No, so it's like that's whatever. Sets were sets. So yeah. So
did you say sex was sex?
Sex was sex.
Sex has always been pretty much right.
Right. So what? Yeah, it was. I thought it was crazy, and
it's crazy,
and it was artistic. The movie got maligned. It never had a chance. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but there's a lot of interesting things in it. And at the end of the day, I didn't know that every actor in it was I guess most of them are hardcore conservatives. I didn't know that. And by the way, that's fine. I'll still work with them.
Yes, of course.
And I'll work with someone who's gender fluid or non-binary. I don't care.
Right.
Do whatever you want. Just let's make something great. And that's the problem with our world.
Well, yeah, we have a lot of problems, a lot of division. I'm just, I want to make sure that I've got.
Can you turn the heat up? No, I'm never one to get hot, but my golly.
We didn't even talk about fucking Scream.
Dude, we got tons of time.
I want to ask you, do you know John Wertis? You worked on something called Bug? You know John Wertis?
I haven't seen him forever.
Oh, yeah, John
nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He was a good friend of mine.
Cortez.
He's the godfather of one of my kids. He was a parajumper in, I don't know, Afghanistan, Iraq, or whatever, and did a couple of television series. And
he's a real one.
I think that... Okay, Roe V. Wade. I think that I've kind of come to the end of like my notes, so I don't have really anything else to ask you or talk to you about. I could talk to you for a long time, but we usually try to keep this about this size and about
size.
this.
Actually, I feel my knees are starting to.
Well, it's a little hot in here. It is hot in here. First of all, I want to really thank you.
Hey,
very, very much for coming in. We didn't talk about any of your producing, any of your reality stuff. The fact that you were able to produce 23 different things, the fact that you did the kind of the new age candid camera, and that I've watched 3 or 4 of those, which are hysterical. You don't own those; somebody else owns that stuff,
Paramount.
right? Yeah, Paramount. Well, some of that stuff was pretty funny. I think that they could bring some of that stuff back again. The scene with you in the restaurant where you're driving around that
old man. The world's oldest waiter.
Laugh my ass off, man.
Thank you.
Some very, very, very funny stuff. So anyway, we didn't get to talk about a lot of things, but all good things must come to an end. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming and getting in your car and driving here and putting up with it's 120 out.
Are you kidding me?
Thank you.
I'm honored. Thank you for wanting to talk to me. You're incredible. And I would
I've
love to
enjoyed
get you on
this so
my
much
pod
as
sometime.
well. And coming from an agency background, I'm sorry we never got to talk about Marty Power, but maybe on another occasion.
I'd love that. Yes.
You got it. You got
I love
it. Okay.
that. Thank
And
you
if
so
you want
much,
me to come
Jim.
on your podcast, I'd love to.
I'd love that.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Appreciate you guys.
And tell me who might you let into your strange pecan shell? Which hand would you